some images, a quick intro on Sundaboop. We did a whole stream, one of my favorites with Rat Labs. And Sundaboop is a designer who, well, he's a lot of things, but for today's purposes, he is a designer of just very beautiful, beautiful images for Prop House and proposals. Index card. Why do we have Sundaboop on today? What are we doing with Sundaboop today?
So yeah, kind of while we were recording one of our other shows that we've done, Keep Nouns Weird, the idea of a more formal, long-standing show came up, and we kind of thought about how we could do this the best way. And essentially, we're going to start with a Little Nouns proposal, and this Little Nouns proposal is going to document and showcase our journey to going on Chain at Nouns. And so this is almost kind of like a pre-pilot episode here, a little behind the scenes, like an episode of the show before the show even starts, about just kind of like designing our proposal or coming up with sort of a design language for our proposal and maybe our show. And we thought no better than Boop and the Foundation to kind of help us out, figure out where we want to go with the visual element to our assets and show. So we have them on here to try to jam in Figma and kind of work through some of the broader visual elements of our entire little process.
Fantastic. That's exactly right. Sundaboop has done the visual design for some of my favorites, and I pulled up here his visuals from the Foundation. He had these three great images. I'm a huge fan of Sundaboop and his work, and wanted to see if I could learn from him and see if we could come up with something. Sundaboop. So, where would you start? What would you like to know more about our idea, or where should we kind of start on the visual?
Yeah, for sure. So the first thing, right, is like one of the things that MetaMonk and I realized throughout this process is that like proposals are very visual, meaning that your proposal will capture a lot more attention if you have consistent or really like very nice visuals to complement your idea, right? A lot of times there's a lot of proposals, so people won't really spend the time to really read and go through them. And that's just more of a general thing in design, right? Is like copy is tough for people, and a lot of times most copy is not ever consumed. So it's important to capture attention quickly and hopefully in a memorable way with some visuals. So yeah, I would say the first kind of step would be to decide on some sort of visual direction, whether that's using more of like a geometric style, if you want to use something that's a little bit more fun and playful. So I would say, setting on a direction, because that will really inform what kind of font you use, what kind of colors you use, what kind of templates you're going to create, what kind of assets make sense within that context. So I would love to kind of get your thoughts just off the top of your head in terms of if you had a visual style or direction or kind of like a feel for what this show you guys want, what you guys want it to feel like.
Yeah, what do you think of Dex Card? What's your inclination here?
Well, I kind of came on into your world a little bit like a few weeks ago, and you already have this. I kind of want to say it's a little bit of a distinct style, even though it's kind of akin to a lot of nounish things, where you really like this pixelated classic, like, I don't know, Nintendo style font and these kind of muted colors and blocks. And I personally actually have grown to like kind of enjoy this simplistic, like almost playful feel. And I feel like it does go well with little nouns and the whole concept of, like them being kind of smaller, not more casual, but, just like more approachable, I guess is the right word, versions of nouns. So I've kind of grown to like your existing style, but I would like to see what Boop feels about it. And maybe if we can, it's kind of like a starting point, and we refine and maybe do like his own version of it, or just kind of his take on this style, or go in a completely different direction. But I've grown to enjoy the style a little bit.
Yeah. I also am inclined to say that this style, I like it. I think it's very in line with low nouns, and I kind of like how you've just kind of ran with it. And just seeing a lot of this stuff on Twitter, and otherwise is great, because it's like when I see this font, um, it reminds me of the show and also little nouns. So my one caveat to that would be that this font is great as a header font, but it's not the best as a body font because it's a display font. Also, shout out Noundation. This is on the on some of the fonts there, so that's great. There's actually another one. Let me find the. So there's this font as well, VT323. This is also another free font, and this is actually kind of the combination that we'll be using for Nounhood at some point, which is a separate project. But I find that this one is a little bit tighter, so it works a little bit better as a body font. But I see that down here you also have Lundrina as a body font, which works, or Galindo. And that works perfectly fine as well. So I think, I think from this, let's run with this kind of style. The goal here being to create these 3 images. One is more of like a holistic thumbnail. Next, another promotional image, and maybe some tiles to promote different episodes. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, totally.
All right, right on.
And on that header image, I was thinking index card and I should both be on it somehow, and that kind of introduces us. And I was also thinking of it being like playful, like hello, like we're I'm a panda, I'm a little panda, he's an index card, like welcome to our prop, like come on in, sort of an inviting, friendly thing.
All right.
I will say that I just love how you do these geometric shapes. And I don't know if that's inconsistent with what we want to do, but I really love your kind of tile backgrounds and how you have cutouts. I just love that style. And I'm not sure if that'll fit for this, but big shout out to Noundation and Sundaboop. I will say also Noundation.wtf, it's what got me into Figma. It's really what got me going. And always will remember that. So thanks for the Noundation. It's just an awesome resource.
Of course. Yeah, that was a great suggestion for the Noggles on the homepage as well. So I think that one, it's just like, cool. Like that's great feedback.
Yeah, you got some Twitter engagement on that too. I remember Optoshi was super happy.
Yeah. It makes a lot more sense, right? Because if you can just remember Noundation.wtf rather than Noundation.wtf/Noggles, it makes it a little bit better. I am trying to find my Noundation file so that I can get the dimensions for those artboards. So stand by. But in the meantime, I think what would be good is to kind of hear, like you touched on a little bit of what you're thinking, right? You said you and Index Card kind of being on there. Do you want it to be kind of like a set? Like is the feel to be more of like a talk show, or is it more, is it like an adventure of two pixel friends? Is it, like what's the context in which we want to showcase this, right?
Yeah, and that's a really good place to start. And I have kind of conflicting thoughts, but let me talk these out and see what Index thinks. So, on the one hand, I do like the framing of it being an adventure, like two littles go big, two littles go on an adventure. And then in terms of the value prop for little nouns, on one hand, it's entertainment, but on the other hand, at the same time, we also think that it's going to be sort of like data collection, almost like useful, like what really does happen when a prop goes on chain. And by putting all this information out as a stream, it can almost be like a documentary or like a business report. So it's kind of both those things in a way.
Hmm.
But yeah, index card. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird one because it's a little bit of everything. It's got this educational component to it. It's a bit of a documentary as well.
Hmm.
But then like I guess with the talk show thing, like I would maybe consider that like we had some boards down here somewhere, and I put a couple of these tidbits as sort of reputation building and like side
Hmm.
quests to our main mission. So I think like the more talk show elements of it will kind of be like side quests to our main mission of getting on chain and getting this prop passed. So like next episode we hope to have little Al on, and it'll be a little less talk show and a little less, I mean a little more kind of, I guess documentary style is probably the best. We will do, I think we will do like talk show-ish type content, but that's outside or like in tandem with this content. It's not like the same thing. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I actually really
definitely.
like this down here. What you got kind of
I
going on
follow
with the
you.
infinite gamers?
Yeah, I like this concept too.
Yeah.
We started working on it a little bit. We have some ideas for this too, but if feel free to share your thoughts and your like inclinations on where we should go with this.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it because it's kind of like this motif, or more appropriately like a meme, right, of gaming. And you have like these little elements of like your credits, a scoreboard, different like pixel games, right? That's already a context that people are kind of familiar with. And so if you, right, if we were to riff on this direction, right, I would say like, okay, maybe each cover is a different arcade style game, for each episode or whatever. um, you could have this in the style of like a Pac-Man, but each ghost is, or maybe Pac-Man's wearing goggles, right? And you have this ghost here already. Um, and then another one could just be Pong, another one could be Asteroids, right? And there's a plethora of different arcade games that you can pull inspo from. But if like that's what you're leading into, right, of like this meme of playing nouns, right? Like that's a concept that you introduced to us, Panda, of like you are, we're not in nouns, we're playing nouns, and it's an infinite game. And that really was a novel way to look at it, and I really like that. So that's one kind of direction that you could go in. This other one that you have with these like visuals is also kind of fun. The only thing is that this is probably a little harder to scale in terms of like just recreating, because you have to find images that are kind of consistent in terms of tone. Uh, but I think like this one is a really great image, right? The yellow, it pops. I don't know what I'm looking at necessarily off rip, but it's appealing to the eye, right? This thumbnail would work really well as a cover image, just because it's bright, it's simple, and it just captures attention. And that's what we're really looking to do, is capture attention.
Yeah, I think Index and I really love the infinite games angle, and we were thinking our nouns would probably lean into that. But hey, let's start with it. The little nouns. I think I'm inclined to Index.
I really like it too. Like when you brought up the concept of nouns being a game, it made nouns a little more exciting to me and made me kind of lean more into, I guess, playing it. I was like always hesitant to get involved, but once I started thinking about it as more of a game, it became fun, and I started putting up more props. So I personally really like it, and I think maybe, I mean, it starts to get more complex, but it can almost be like a documentary of us playing the game. Um,
Hmm.
so we can kind of hit both at the same time. We can, but that's it starts to get more complex, and we
And
don't want to make it too confusing. But yeah, I like the
Right.
game aspect for sure.
And yeah, but that does bring up the point that we think of ourselves as kind of long tail content. So we don't think there's like a massive, huge audience right now, but we really want to make like the most intelligent, the most deep content for people in nouns. And then it'll be available hopefully forever so people can stumble upon it later. But a
Right.
visual idea I had is we could also do versions of ourselves where we're wearing the infinite accessory, like maybe at the end or in the middle.
Mhm.
Maybe I'll grab those if you want to keep working on this main thing.
Okay.
I also think this gaming concept is kind of nice because you can always invite more players to it too. It kind of scales in that sense. And like, yeah, it starts as just us two, but you could always add a new player. You could switch the game up a little bit more easily. I like it. Yeah, I don't know why I kind of like forgotten or got away from it a little bit, but I guess that's why we got Boop here.
Yeah, and people have tweeted this out before. I've tweeted out memes about this of like Ready Player Noun, right? Of like it's an easy to understand concept. It's like a meme that people get, and I don't know. It could go online since I know that the title is still a work in progress. But
Yeah, totally. The Ready Player One, but the nouns version is instead of there being like one, evil genius or benevolent dude who sets kind of the game and the rules, it's set by an ever changing DAO that changes every day.
right.
Can you find a blank index card head index? It's not in the Shadow Foundation, but I don't think it's in the new. It's because
Yeah,
it's a new head.
I think I have some somewhere in the file, maybe. Let's see. Where should I drag it? With the glasses or just blank?
Just blank. I'm gonna make it into infinity. Oh, you know what? Should we use your little one for this, or your big one?
The head is the same for big and little, so just the body would be the difference.
All right, maybe I'll
But
make
yeah, you could.
both. Which number is your little index card? Do you know?
I have 3. 5795 was my first. But my most recent is probably the most aesthetic one.
What's that one?
7507
Okay.
should be. It's hard to remember all these numbers.
Oh yeah, this is a beautiful one.
That was a little block party. All 3 of mine have been little block party.
LVP.
So Boop, if you don't mind asking, you can answer or ignore whatever I ask. Do you do this kind of work in like a real job outside of Nounish stuff?
Yep. Yeah. So I got I work in the space. It's more so on the blockchain side of things, but I do mainly. I mean, my role is a product designer, right? So this is stuff that I'm doing on the regular, and it's great. I love it, and very lucky to be able to do this stuff. Drawing rectangles and getting paid for it. So
Yeah, it's kind of awesome. Years ago, like my first job out of college was at a small agency in New York, but I
nice.
did the development side of things. But I was always jealous because the designers would just pass off kind of like their work, and I didn't really have that much creative input. I just kind of followed what they did.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and don't worry, we're always jealous of devs because you guys can actually build stuff. So
I guess I'm jealous of the people that do both too. But
Right.
I know you're a big Webflow guy. I think, or
Yep.
you and your brother are big Webflow people. So
Yeah,
it's kind of leveled the playing field a little bit.
definitely. I'm really excited to see what kind of like no code tools kind of pop up in the space. We've been playing around with Bueno for a project that we're going to release probably either today or tomorrow, actually. But that has been really cool to just see a tool that's pretty powerful, and also it's just been catching a lot of errors and just like little touches that make the experience really nice. I believe it's Pablo Stanley's project. He's like a really well-known designer just in the Web2 space. So it's cool to see him kind of as a design leader kind of coming into Web3 and building tools to support this ecosystem.
Is he the humankind guy as well?
He is the he has a bunch of he does a lot of like tutorials on YouTube, and he also has a lot of like, it's interesting because he created a couple like it is humankind. That is him.
Okay, yeah. They just did a prop house round and it was kind of amazing to see. Really cool work. Yeah.
So cool.
Small world then. Wow.
Yeah. But Bueno's great. Definitely was really impressed by it. And even if you're not like minting on it, just a way to like view your generative art holistically, it will tell you if there are duplicate layers and stuff. So when Monk and I were working in there last night, it was like, it caught a bunch of errors for us that we would not have seen otherwise. So, and then what you can do is actually export out all of the generative art, and you can choose how many, if you want like 10,000, right? You can export that out as a 10,000 kind of file collection and then upload that into Zora. And if you want to mint that through Zora, you can, but you just use Bueno as a tool to kind of, for all the stuff before the mint.
I'll have to check it out. Because I've been thinking about playing around with more mints, nothing like crazy or serious, but just for fun. So I've been playing around with some new tools and stuff like that.
Nice.
Okay, this is the part I love here. Can you talk me through as you're doing this? Boop.
What's up? Oh, on this first part, this cover.
I liked how you were making those checkers, kind of the individual squares.
Oh, these guys? Yeah. So the other thing we're gonna want is kind of like a logo. So some sort of motif to kind of capture the essence of the show, right? So it's like if we wanted to create like a pixel controller or like a little ghost or something, we can do that here. But I would say the other important thing is probably to come up with a name. It could be Ready Player Noun. I'm just kind of spitballing here, but if there's another working title, that would just kind of go there as well. I'm going to add some more things to this, but in the meantime, maybe it is like a little pixel ghost.
Yeah, and as you're doing that, I'm just reflecting back on Index Card saying that the game framing kind of caused him to sort of lean in or play more, and I think that is sort of a big value prop for what we're doing. Is we're kind of, if we're successful, then we want to inspire other gamers to show up and start building nouns with us and
Right.
creating new things.
Yeah, I feel like that could be like our secret actual value prop here. Is just increasing kind of like more the amount of participants and the amount of more open and like willing participants to like play live with us. Hopefully, I think that we have some potential there.
And beat us, like pass a better prop. If we fail, like pass something. If our idea sucks, come up with something better.
Right.
For sure. It's weird to say, but it's true.
These were UCMYK.
There's kind of just like this general clean factor to your work process.
Oh, thank you.
Like it just like it looks effortlessly just good. I don't know how else to say it. But yeah.
Thank you. I find my artboards to be quite messy, so it's always a struggle. Like there's so many memes about like designers having crazy layers and stuff and like crazy names because we never rename stuff. So it's kind of funny that like, yeah, I think my process is kind of scatterbrained because if you look at my Figma files, it looks just like this, where it's like everything's kind of scattered. And I have this habit of like duplicating artboards to infinity just because to me, it's like a mental check bookmark, right? So it's like if I want to, I'll duplicate something because I never want to lose any quote unquote version history. So every artboard that I duplicate, there's like a slight change that I can tell usually like what my thinking was, my thought process was. It just kind of helps me track and go through different reasonings why I did the things I did in Figma. So
Yeah, I was gonna kind of say it's almost like your own form of Git.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. With zero documentation. Anyone who looks at it is just confused.
And shout out to the earlier episode here with the Foundation folks. But Index Card, did you see that? Did you see the rat ban in the Figma? The whole bunch of, I don't know, there were 100 different rat ban nozzles.
Yeah, I think I watched the whole thing, unless I trailed off at the end. But yeah, it was a good episode. I'm the kind of like, that's the one thing about it. I feel like I'm the demographic for this type of content because I just put up that video kind of off to the side of my screen background, listened, checked in the file or I guess the video once in a while. But yeah, it was a cool episode. There was a lot of assets in that stream. I also remember the Dr. Disrespect version.
Oh yeah, the Doc Rat, dude.
Yeah.
So sick. Yeah, but again, like I think one of the best indicators are kind of like a good way to capture attention, right? That's like the value. That's like what we're trying to do is capture attention. Um, is to like use memes. And so if it like again, if you go this direction, it seems like this is the direction, right? But it's cool because you can use all these other memes that belong in this world, in this realm, this context, right? Of like you have coins, you have arcade games, you have leaderboards, you have player one, player two, player three, player four, right? Those like player two has entered the game, you know, things like that. It's like when you onboard someone to nouns, it's like a new player has entered the game. Um, and so, there's just so many different avenues and motifs that you can kind of lean into that really make this a holistic, both a visual kind of play, but also just something that people can understand. Like when you say like play nouns, right? It's there's so much content there to unpack, and I think it's cool to see. Um,
Love watching you work here, Boop. Going to take a quick intermission to throw a plug your way. For everyone watching, Soon to Boop throws out awesome art on his Twitter. It's at Soon to Boop. What's the third rat? You got 3 parenthetical rats. Is your team expanding?
TBD. That's maybe,
Oh,
yeah. I will maybe comment that on a later time. But
looks like we're not going to do an exclusive here today, but that's exciting. Rat Labs, honestly, one of the most interesting places. Look at this. Does this say design? Yeah, design here. Really beautiful, beautiful visual style. Great follow. And then at Rat Labs _ this is sort of a consultancy that you guys run. Is that right?
yeah, it's pretty much kind of our umbrella studio for all things Web3 that we do. So all the projects we launch, some of the clients that we work with, so things like that. And it's just kind of starting out, but we're glad it's in place because that way, like we have kind of a formation to just like a brand to house all of these projects under.
Awesome. And yeah, it looks like a Substack and a delegate Noggles. Are you guys voting now? Are you getting votes for acting as a delegate?
Yeah, well, so you can delegate to us actually on Agora, and our backslash is just like, I think it's just like rat. Let's see. Delegate. If you go to delegate, it'll go to Agora, and then we have our delegate profile. Yeah, it's delegate.rat.noggles. So, and the reasoning of the things that we value as the Rat Pack, in terms of what do we see as quality, what props do we support, and why. So
Love it.
Panda, do you have any kind of like live input on names for this?
Names, I'm thinking more visually, so don't have
Okay.
names input.
Yeah.
How about you? What are you thinking?
I just played around with some other, like I said, let's play nouns because the let's play is kind of a big thing. But
Oh, that's a great title too. That's not
yeah,
bad. I like.
it's an option. I don't know if it's my top, but just trying to throw out random ideas.
I do like the Infinite Games meme. I'm not sure about that in the title or not. I don't know.
Yeah, like I had another Figma file called Nouns and Infinite Game, but that's a little too stiff. That's more of like a term paper or a thesis paper or something.
Yeah. My ears sort of get lost on this dark background.
Definitely. For this guy then.
Yeah, I think this was my just original kind of like off black background. Also, I just like looking at this. The great thing about this one is I feel like it's easily manipulated through animation and simple GIFs. It just lends itself to be GIFed and animated.
Totally. And we could make like a, opening credits, closing credits. We could do fun screen stuff with this. And in a scalable way, as Boop says.
Yeah, do you guys have preference on your colors? Like your player colors?
You mean like that teal and yellow?
Yeah.
Yeah. It can match your noggles.
Yeah. That's what I like. Although I think I'm gonna maybe gradient that and do both because I like my pink and purple.
Nice.
Yeah, I've kind of like involuntarily had to embrace the green.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love the index card traits that you have on composables. It's like one of my favorite things on that market.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, they're kind of ridiculous, but it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Your stuff is pretty good too, and I think you're hinting at that we're going to be seeing more of it soon, right?
Yes. So we just went ahead and put that on composables, and we still have to do a lot of marketing towards that project, but we're still intending on launching it. It's very, I mean, all the artwork is done. The site is almost done, but we kind of put it on the back burner so that we could focus on, like, I mean, we have so many projects that we need to kind of consolidate, and some other projects just kind of came up that were more pressing. So we are going to launch that at a later time, but I'm very keen to do so. But with a lot of these things, like, it's very momentum based, and if you don't capture a lot of momentum at the start, it's very difficult to kind of garner interest and keep that going, because ideally at some point you want to hand off some projects to like the community, right? Especially if it's a DAO. Like if it's a DAO, then you have kind of the pieces in place, right, for decentralization and max proliferation. So for other things, you might not want a DAO because you want to control the direction and you want to you can like move faster, right? Like DAOs, there's a lot of overhead with a DAO. So yeah, it's just kind of like a choice that, you know, it's depending on your situation. So
Yeah, that's kind of actually like, I guess in terms of nouns, one of the weird things is I'm not entirely sure what I would say or how many projects have kind of moved on into that kind of realm where it's more DAO control. Maybe I guess FOMO is sort of like a game that has become kind of like widespread, but I'm trying to think of other projects and stuff that have really kind of just become, you know, fully decentralized and
Mhm.
and passed off into the hands of the greater DAO.
Sure. Yeah, in this project, it's called Nounhood, and essentially they are a fantasy collection of Nounish characters, and so they all kind of look like variations of Nounish knights, and ergo Nounhood, knighthood. Um, so yeah, I think that I definitely want to put it out there. Um, and I mean, we both do. It's just kind of like in the in the backlog, so to speak. But it definitely will see the light of day very soon. Um, okay, cool. I think this is like in a good spot. I'm gonna maybe add some sort of background to this.
Those four colors, red, teal, yellow, purple, do you think those should be like noun shirt colors? Or how did you pick those four that you did?
RGB and CMYK. But I think you are correct. I think we should update these to be a little more nounish. So actually, what I can do is screenshot, and I will use Volky's tool on Noundry Studio, the palette tool. Shout out Volky. Saved me so much time and pain because for Nounhood we had our own set of colors, and then we realized that in the contract you can only have like 256 colors. So this tool pretty much changed all of our off palette colors into nounish colors. So it was very, very helpful.
Yeah, it's a great tool. I use it all the time. That's how I made the index card stuff.
Nice.
I like that it's just like straight to the point. It's
Mm-hmm.
good for noun stuff, and there's not much distraction. There's a lot of constraints. I really like the whole constraints aspect of everything. I guess it would be nice if you could, not that you're the developer here, but now I'm thinking about hovering over the color palette and getting maybe the hex or like a name or something, so you can help remember them a little better.
Yeah, the colors themselves are a little random, to be honest, in nouns. So I think I thought someone was kind of working on kind of standardizing those and kind of updating those colors, but I'm to be honest not sure on that.
Could be a good nouns hack week.
Definitely.
Little sprint.
How wide do you have your images on in Prop House? Soon to boot.
So this one right here, the cover one, is exactly the dimensions I used for this one.
$11.52 here by 576.
Yes, sir.
Is that how did you come up with that? Is that like a standard size or just kind of what you
I actually did that based on the squares. So I had the blocks at a certain dimensions, and that's just kind of like how the chips kind of fell. Because I don't think there's like a standard. Because the image, whatever image you create, it'll fill out the container with. So I think that's how I got to that dimension. It's not a standard size per se.
Interesting. I had never ever thought about that because I always like do my size and then I fill it in with the boxes.
Yep.
So I'm glad you said that because that just totally changes how I think about it.
Yep. All right. Oh yeah, I was doing something. I was getting this guy.
Now, where did you grab this thing, man?
Google.
What did you Google for?
Pixel gradient background. Yeah.
It looks like the max width on like a Nouns proposal page for the container is 926 pixels.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I don't know. Anything over that doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you could do something very subtle like this. You can also just find another kind of pixel background and replace this image. All it is an image and then an opacity applied so that the dark background bleeds through. So
nice.
But
what do you think about? Do you want to jump real quick because we got 5 more minutes here to if we wanted to do a 3? Would you call it a carousel where we showed 3? I kind of started a very crude thing there, but
oh, cool, nice. That's great. So this one is actually never mind. That's one image. I just took 3, put like 10 pixels in between and that. So
no, they have different little things in the bottom right, different little shapes.
Yes. So that would be the Noundation token. So once Noundation, the DAO is deployed, then what we would do is issue those tokens. Those tokens would be up for auction, and then getting one of those would make you a member of the Noundation DAO, where you could, propose things for different Web3 components or whatever props you would want to see. Like if you want to create like a Nounish font, you would create that as a prop and put that in there. Okay, so for these guys, let's.
But I like how you framed it, where these 3 could show like 3 different episodes, like 3 different games or slight variations.
Yeah,
we're gonna run with that. And I also love how we're not going to finish this today here because we're running out of time, but Index Card and I are gonna, I'm sure, take another swipe at this and kind of combine what we think. And God, it's just really fun to watch other people design in Figma. Really appreciate you coming today, Boop.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I
yeah,
just
this
kind
is
of been following
a lot of fun.
along. It's pretty exciting and interesting, but also kind of like sets a seed. And I think like a good little base for us to kind of run with and build out ourselves.
Mhm.
And then we can always just come back to like your original kind of design language you've built here for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's important to just have like those building blocks in place, right? Because that way, you have at least some visual style to go off of, and base your designs and your library off of. Because to be honest, like design, I guess good design, to me, a lot of it has to do with just consistency. So if you can be consistent in your style, the fonts, your spacing, it's all good. One tip I will say for design, one of the very first things I learned is just to do everything on a scale of 8 pixels, right? So whether that's padding, your font size, your pixel size, right? So for these guys, like um, sometimes it's a little bit arbitrary, but if you're using different fonts, like if you use steps of 8 or steps of 4, that way, like all of your spacing will be consistent. It will feel consistent, and it will feel just like it will feel like one kind of cohesive thing. So it's just a matter of designing around that scale, because if you don't have that scale, then things can get out of hand sometimes. So maybe for this we do. What are you thinking for these, Panda? Are you thinking of them more like cartridges or more like thumbnails or game covers?
One option is almost like they could be other players. Like I'm thinking, hey, how could we put you in as a gamer here? So it could be like a new player has entered the game, and then it's like you're Rat. Because I do think one of the big value props is, hey, we're gonna inspire other players. But I also like kind of like one of these to show off. Like we know the final episode is going to be our prop on chain, and the first episode will be like us designing it. So I don't know how
Yes.
that'll play out in terms of games. What do you think, Index?
I guess like yeah, maybe like both almost in a way too, right? Like we'll have other players and then also we may play like different games with them. I don't know if I'm getting lost in like the gaming analogy, but um I think like a combination of both, if I'm making any sense. Let's see.
So the other thing about the prop that's really important is the TLDR. It will be very effective if you can communicate what this prop is in one sentence. So that way, like when people read the TLDR, they see the image, it should click to them what it is. And so one thing that's should be probably careful about here is that if that's why I changed this little snippet here, because people might see this and view it as a game, like an actual like nounish game, right? Instead of like a series. So maybe some description based on that. but I think the motif still holds. I think it's great, and I think you can definitely accentuate that in these illustrations or in these visuals, because you could do like episode 1.
That's actually a really good point that you bring up. That you don't like. In some ways, it would be kind of fun that people think it's an actual game. But yeah, for like practical reasons,
Right.
you want people to be able to delineate the two better and faster.
We have our watermark of us in a TV. Maybe we could put that instead of our icons, or we're gonna have to think through that. But that is a very,
Or we might have to make like an arcade, like I don't know what they call those, like the giant arcade machines. There's got to be a name for them instead of a TV for this one.
yeah,
Arcade game.
yeah.
I don't know if you guys have a hard stop, but yeah, just let me know.
I guess they're called cabinets, arcade cabinet. I'll have to leave eventually, but up to Panda.
Yeah, I do have hard stop because I have Martin coming on here at 11. I guess I'm gonna be a little bit late. Sorry, Martin. Yeah. This feels so good to watch you work and kind of get a visual identity here. Just feels like we're so much further ahead than we are now that we have kind of a good start.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's like the hardest thing starting out, but once you have something, you can just kind of run with it, which is really nice. Episode 2, episode 3, episode 4. You can say the finish.
I think also I was just having thoughts because I know we've been this infinite game kind of idea in the background and had other thoughts for it, and that maybe our nouns prop was centered around playing nouns, but like this could just essentially be season 1 of us playing nouns too. So I don't think it's bad if we're leaning into this heavily on our first go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you don't have to like recreate. I said earlier that like each episode could be a different game. Each season could be a different game that you focus on if you want to like stretch that motif out a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's probably the good route. Like I don't know what this version would be called. I guess this is like Little's going on the big nouns chain, but you gotta come up with like a catchy smaller name for it. Do expansion packs. Maybe we go play one of your games one day.
All right.
So much like Space Invaders.
Yep.
Oh, nice. The little pixel nods.
A little big. A little big on the guy, but there's got to be a way to show Nogs.
I was thinking earlier how we could like put noggles on this guy.
Yeah.
It's tough though. They don't scale down too small.
They do not.
I feel like eventually we're going to need you, Soon to Boop. We're going to need you on this. But we'll grab your PFP and find a way to get you here.
I think we could do just like a nod to him and have maybe at some point like a little rat running through like the screen or something, like an Easter egg.
And that does kind of raise another interesting point, because like the point of playing infinite games for Boop might be to win cheese, but for me it might be like Bamboo. So we could kind of all play the same game but have different sort of goals or rewards.
Yeah, if you want, here's a rat that we made. I don't know. It's kind of work in progress, but
That's pretty good.
Yeah, we also have this guy. That one's probably more of a rat, but
oh, I like that guy.
Yeah,
it's cute.
Yeah, that one was by MetaMonk.
Shout out MetaMonk. The R tier B. Is your third?
Exactly.
Well, I guess I won't ask you about the third, but they better be a G.
Yep. Oh, you know it. You know it.
Awesome. Well, this has been so much fun having you, Boop. We got a really great start. We are indebted to you. We will, I'm sure, have you back on the stream. Everyone can find Sundaboop at Sundaboop on Twitter, 3 Little Rats, and works at Rat Labs at ratlabs_, running in the sewer. And go check out my past stream with both MetaMonk and Sundaboop. Amazing OG Nowners, the Noundation, noundation.wtf. Hey, thanks so much, Sundaboop, for coming on.
Thanks so much, Panda. It's great to meet you, Index Card, and yeah, we'll talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming on. That was pretty awesome to just watch. Yeah, this is like a really great place to begin for us and build off of. This like immediately already makes me feel like we're gonna pass just because of this.
I hope so. Fingers crossed, man. Yeah, this is going to be a cool prop. I'm excited for it.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. I'm coming right back with Martin here. Got to start a new screen, but we'll see you here in just a couple minutes. All right. Bye.